Welcome back to the Boss Mode walkthrough series. This is Chapter 11, Lair of the Lich. We're going to be running Champion Mode. If you look at the Champion mechanic, it says all of the enemies have the Wushu trait. If you are familiar with what that is, it basically means no criticals. So when you have no criticals, it kind of makes things a little bit of a pain for things like Indigo, who is going to be a critical-based energy generator. So we have to come up with a different way to kill the folks in here. So my plan is to stick with Kira. He's obviously the main killer, and then bring along some support with him to help take care of the undead guys, and ultimately make the dungeon a little bit more survivable. I like to have Zen in there for some basic heals, and then we just bring along some other powerhouse hitters. It doesn't really matter who you bring along as long as it's someone who can do some serious damage. So Cobalt and Braum are great damage dealers for me. I decided to bring a slow hero because I know Braum is pretty amazing for me, and plus he has a group heal. Anytime it actually gets to his turn, by the time that happens, it's actually pretty potent. And honestly, with as short as the dungeon is, it's probably likely that he won't even get to use it until the very end on the boss fight. You will notice that I did not bring along Yorick this time. When you're running these, if you don't want to bring along Yorick, that's probably for the best, because his passives and his abilities don't really benefit anybody but undead. So bringing along, all it does is it saves you a friend summon, so that you don't have to use the Mark for Death. In this case here, I am just assuming to use a friend Yorick to do Mark for Death, and then I'll handle these guys along the way with my main attackers. This dungeon doesn't have any fast enemies, so no matter what's going to happen, I'm just going to burn through this pretty quickly. And by bringing Cobalt along, Cobalt can dish out some serious damage, and he replenishes his own energy. So the energy-based team that I did before really didn't matter too much. So could have used AoE here, chose not to, just to see kind of where things were at. And that one little skeleton guy, I wasn't expecting him to kill the team anyways. So save the AoE for when it really matters, like if something goes horribly wrong and I need to, do a ton of AoE damage. So these pair here, honestly, not too much to worry about. You can see me pondering just a little bit in terms of what I wanted to do. Ultimately, I decided to go with the Enlightenment route. Enlightenment on Kira, you can't go wrong there, because he's going to get two pretty hardcore attacks as far as undead goes. They don't want to go up against that. So kill the spirit, he dies pretty easily. And then we saw the last time that this guy survived the first round. He's got a lot higher defense. I don't know if you saw the trait on there, but he has the Abs of Steel trait. So Abs of Steel is from the Furnace mechanic. Basically what it means is it takes 5 full-fledged hits to kill him, because he can't lose more than 20%. So 20% times 5 is 100%, so it takes 5 fully charged hits in order to kill him. Zen's attack really didn't count. So your full team basically needs to attack him in order to take him down, and hopefully he doesn't do anything too drastic to you. You could use Kira's AoE, that would count as 2 hits there. That would likely deal the 40% necessary to get 2 strikes in there. So I could have did that, plus his other enlightened attack would have been 60%, and then Cobalt could have did a basic attack. He might have did epic and killed him there. Or just Cobalt and then Braum, and that would have been 5 attacks there. But however you choose to take that guy down, it's really up to you. He's not overly threatening unless you're really poorly ruined, or you just don't have a strong team to start with. So we're back to the Lich here. Like I said, we're planning on using Friend Hero for the Mark. And then depending where abilities are, we did use a couple with Kira on those mini-bosses, so might have to polish off the energy a little bit here, but that's something you just have to kind of deal with. So looking through my list, I don't have a ton of people that have Yorick anymore. Everybody's been swapping out to Kozar. It used to be, probably a couple months ago, everybody was Yorick because you needed Yorick to beat these dungeons. So I originally wanted to pass this guy over because I thought 64 York is just, I didn't think that that was going to cover it. The level requirement on this, I don't think is at 70. I can't remember exactly. It might be 70. I know the Boss Island ones are like 68 or something like that. But I was kind of worried that he actually was going to resist this, but I kind of got lucky here. So if you have friend Yorks at 70, obviously that's the way to go. Energy Potion on Zen so I can get 2 hits with Kira and 2 hits with Kira on the Lich. Honestly, pretty much lights out no matter what you do. So decided to go with the Energy Potion just to get stronger attacks in here. We use the Vibrating Palm. Takes out half of him. He didn't crit, that's why I was so poor. Same thing there. And the reason he didn't crit, if you remember from the beginning, is the Wushu trait. So no Wushu, you can't get crits. And you see Kier still does quite a bit, but not enough for him to serve. He basically can't survive, though. So if your Kier is ruined up good, he's going to deal pretty good damage there. So again, this team here, because there's no restrictions on your team, you pretty much have your pick of the litter. Take Kira plus anybody else. And Zen Kira on this one here seems to be a good fit because you get 2 Kira attacks without any ramifications at all. So stick around. We'll be right back for the boss mode mechanic. And then if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. Thanks.